The rotation of the Earth plays a key role in shaping global weather systems. Under the influence of the Coriolis force, moving air masses are deflected to the side relative to their original direction. This deflection affects the trajectories of cyclones and anticyclones, determines the direction of winds, and contributes to the swirling of atmospheric vortices. Without the planet's rotation, air circulation would be significantly simpler. However, it is this dynamic factor that gives weather processes a complex structure and stable patterns of pressure distribution. The technique of using the dart on a rope belongs to traditional Chinese weaponry and requires high coordination of movements. The design consists of a rope measuring between 3 and 5 meters with a metal tip, which is accelerated by rotation and aimed at a target. Control is achieved through complex interweaving of the rope around the hands and body, allowing for precise trajectory management. This art originated in China around the 8th century of our era and combines physical training with precise calculation of movements. Mobile kitchens based on vehicles have become an effective format for modern public catering. In China, food trucks are equipped with fully functional work areas, stoves, ventilation systems, and refrigeration equipment, allowing them to operate like a complete cafe. This format provides flexibility in placement and reduces costs associated with stationary rentals. Food trucks are particularly in demand during festivals, fairs, and city events, and they are also convenient for serving customers in high-traffic areas. This is an example of how businesses adapt to the dynamics of urban environments. The Tibetan Mastiff is one of the most impressive and ancient dog breeds, developed in the harsh conditions of the Himalayas. Its thick coat protects it from the cold and adds to its imposing appearance. These dogs have accompanied nomadic tribes for centuries, guarding herds and homes from predators. Although the tallest breed is considered to be the Great Dane, the Tibetan Mastiff also stands out with its large size and powerful build. Its strength is combined with an independent nature and a strong protective instinct. Art that emerges directly on a layer of road dust has become an unusual direction in contemporary creativity. This refers to drawings on dirty cars, an occurrence sometimes called dirt or guerrilla art. Artists use the dust on the body as a canvas, creating detailed images with their fingers or brushes. The works are ephemeral and exist only in photographs. Among the well-known masters are an anonymous artist from China, Nikita Golubev, and Scott Wade, who have managed to transform temporary images into a full-fledged artistic genre. Guillain-Barré syndrome is classified as a rare autoimmune disorder that affects the peripheral nervous system. In this condition, immune cells begin to attack the myelin sheath of the nerves, disrupting the transmission of signals from the brain to the muscles. The disease often develops following a viral or bacterial infection, including influenza or COVID, although the exact triggering mechanisms remain a subject of research. Symptoms can progress from weakness in the limbs to severe paralysis, necessitating intensive therapy and prolonged rehabilitation. The daughter of the second president of the United States, John Adams, underwent a severe surgical procedure without anesthesia. This refers to Abigail Nabby Adams Smith, who was diagnosed with breast cancer in the early 19th century. She had the affected breast removed, and the operation was performed while she was fully conscious, as anesthesia was not yet in use at that time. A year later, the disease affected her other breast. However, she refused a second procedure, and the progression of the illness ultimately led to her death. The disappearance of an onion in water is explained by the difference in light refraction indices. When light passes through the boundary of two media with similar optical properties, its direction changes very little. The refraction indices of water and onion tissues are close, which is why the rays do not create a clear boundary between them. As a result, the outlines become blurred and the object visually dissolves. This phenomenon demonstrates how the physical properties of materials affect the perception of shape and transparency. Body integrity disorder is a rare mental condition in which a person feels that one of their limbs is superfluous or does not match their internal body image. This is accompanied by a persistent desire for amputation or a wish for disability, including paralysis. Some patients harm themselves, while others seek surgical intervention. Specialists associate this phenomenon with disruptions in the neuropsychological mechanisms of body perception, but reliable treatment methods have yet to be developed. The characteristic scent that arises after rain has its own scientific name, petrichor. This smell appears when droplets of water hit dry soil and release volatile compounds that have accumulated in the ground and on the surface of stones. One of the key components is a substance called geosmin, produced by soil microorganisms. When raindrops strike, microscopic bubbles lift aromatic particles into the air, enhancing their dispersion. It is the combination of moisture and organic compounds that creates the recognizable fresh scent after precipitation. The Border Collie belongs to the group of herding dogs, known for their outstanding intelligence and high work ethic. Generally, herding breeds are divided into guard dogs, which protect the flock from predators, and herding dogs, which direct the movement of animals. The Border Collie falls into the second category. It uses precise movements and a characteristic intense gaze to control the flock. This strong instinct sometimes manifests in everyday life, as the dog tries to organize people or other pets. To maintain balance, it requires regular physical exercise and mental challenges. The production of glass marbles has a history spanning thousands of years. Archaeological finds confirm that such toys existed in ancient Egypt, where they were discovered in the tomb of a child approximately 5,000 years old. Modern factories create marbles by heating glass material and shaping it into perfectly smooth spheres with colorful patterns inside. The simplicity of the form is combined with the technological precision of manufacturing. This item remains one of the most enduring in the cultural tradition of children's games, having survived numerous eras and civilizations. Spiral escalators in one of the shopping centers in San Francisco have become a notable architectural feature of the building. Their twisting trajectory creates a striking visual accent while also addressing the practical need for vertical movement. Unlike straight structures, this form allows for a compact connection of several levels, saving usable space and improving the flow of visitors. The project requires precise engineering calculations, as the curvature of the steps and guides complicates the movement mechanism. This is an example of how a technical solution can harmoniously blend with expressive design. Hailstones of extreme size can cause significant damage to infrastructure and agriculture. In the province of Guizhou, ice formations of unusually large diameter were recorded, leading to destruction and loss of life. Such phenomena form in powerful thunderstorm clouds during strong updrafts, which repeatedly lift ice particles upward, increasing their size. The event served as a vivid example of how destructive, intense atmospheric processes can be. Heavy rains in the United Arab Emirates have led to widespread flooding, a rare event for this arid region. Before the torrential downpours, there was intense hail, and the accumulation of ice and water overwhelmed the drainage systems of the cities. Streets were flooded, transportation was disrupted, and infrastructure suffered significant damage. The situation demonstrated that even in technologically advanced countries, extreme weather events can pose serious challenges to urban environments and drainage systems. In one of the restaurants of the McDonald's chain in Guangzhou, exercise bikes have been installed for visitors to use while in the dining area. The structure is made from recycled plastic and is equipped with a mechanism that generates electricity when the pedals are turned. The energy produced can be used to charge mobile devices. This initiative combines the idea of physical activity with principles of sustainability, demonstrating how everyday spaces can serve as platforms for implementing sustainable solutions. Caring for the health of the herd requires a systematic approach and prevention. In the United States, a traditional procedure involves immersing sheep in a special therapeutic solution. The animals are completely submerged in the liquid to eliminate external parasites, ticks, lice, fleas, and flies that can cause diseases and reduce productivity. This method allows for the treatment of a large number of individuals at once and ensures even coverage of the wool with the solution. Regular prevention helps maintain the overall condition of the herd and prevents the spread of infections. Hybrid forms of Siamese fighting fish are actively bred in China for commercial sale. Bettas are valued for their bright colors and the variety of fin shapes developed through selective breeding. These fish are characterized by their high endurance due to a labyrinth organ that allows them to absorb oxygen from the atmospheric air. This feature enables them to survive in stagnant and oxygen-poor waters, including ditches and small ponds. The breeding of hybrids is focused on enhancing decorative qualities and resilience to various living conditions. Orcas in the coastal waters of Canada have been observed hunting moose crossing straits and fjords. These marine predators lie in wait for the animals during their crossings between islands or while moving along the shoreline. When a moose finds itself in deep water and loses stability, orcas use speed and group coordination to launch their attack. This behavior demonstrates the species' high adaptability and ability to expand their diet by including terrestrial mammals under suitable conditions. Horseshoe clouds are considered one of the rarest and most unusual forms in the atmosphere. Their formation is associated with circular air vortices that develop under specific conditions of air instability. When such vortices capture moisture, condensation occurs along a curved trajectory, creating a characteristic silhouette reminiscent of a horseshoe. Most often, such formations are observed in areas with pronounced updrafts, including near mountain ranges, where the terrain enhances air movement and contributes to the formation of complex cloud structures. Thai silk is renowned for its strength and the fineness of the fibers obtained from the cocoons of the silkworm Bombyx mori. The white cocoons are formed by the caterpillar before it transforms into a butterfly, with a single individual capable of producing a thread up to 1 kilometer long. The production process requires careful unwinding of the continuous fiber and subsequent treatment, which preserves its natural luster and elasticity. An ancient technique passed down through generations of artisans ensures the material's high quality and a strong reputation in the global textile market. Sometimes a severe neurological disease develops suddenly due to a malfunction in the immune system. In autoimmune processes, the body begins to perceive the tissues of the spinal cord as foreign and attacks them, causing inflammation and damage to the nerve fibers. This condition can lead to sudden weakness, loss of sensation, or paralysis within a short period. A person may go to sleep without noticeable symptoms and wake up with serious motor function impairments that require prolonged treatment and rehabilitation. Okonomiyaki is a traditional Japanese dish known for its unusual visual effect of dancing flakes of tuna. Thinly sliced strips of katsuobushi are placed on top of the pancake, which begin to sway due to the hot steam rising from the freshly cooked surface. This creates an illusion of movement, although the reason lies in the temperature difference in the lightness of the flakes. The dish itself consists of a thick base made from batter and cabbage, with various toppings chosen according to personal preferences. The serial killer Gary Ridgway avoided the death penalty by striking a deal with the prosecution. He agreed to reveal the locations of his numerous victims' graves, after which he was escorted to the specified sites for verification of his statements. In the courtroom, Ridgway maintained an indifferent expression, while the relatives of the deceased addressed him with accusations. Only the words of forgiveness, spoken by the father of one of the victims, elicited a noticeable emotional reaction from him. However, the judge emphasized that this did not indicate genuine remorse. The release of oxygen bubbles by plants is a clear manifestation of the process of photosynthesis. Under the influence of sunlight, green cells convert energy into nutrients, while oxygen is produced as a byproduct of this reaction. Through damaged or recently cut tissues, the gas escapes more intensely, making the bubbles particularly noticeable. This process plays a key role in maintaining the composition of the atmosphere and provides living organisms with the oxygen necessary for respiration. School lunch in Japan is part of the educational system and is seen as an element in developing social skills. Students serve dishes to their classmates, maintain order, and learn to act collaboratively, which fosters a sense of responsibility and respect for the group. The diet is centered around rice, fish, vegetables, and soups, reflecting a traditional approach to balanced nutrition. This format of school meals promotes the formation of healthy habits from childhood and is associated with a low level of childhood obesity and a high life expectancy in the country. The journey of a snowflake from a cloud to the surface can take up to 45 minutes. During this time, the tiny ice crystal slowly descends through layers of the atmosphere, constantly interacting with air currents. Its speed decreases due to its lightweight and complex shape, which creates resistance. Updrafts and downdrafts can temporarily lift the snowflake upward, slowing its descent. The duration of the fall depends on the height of the cloud, the temperature, and the strength of the wind, making each trajectory unique. The Amazon rainforest plays a significant role in global biogeochemical processes and participates in the gas exchange between the atmosphere and the biosphere. It is often claimed that it produces about 20% of the world's oxygen. However, in reality, much of the oxygen released is consumed during respiration and the decomposition of organic matter within the ecosystem itself. The main value of the region lies in its ability to sequester carbon and regulate the climate. Vast areas of the Amazon influence moisture circulation and the stability of tropical climate systems. Danger can arise in a typical household situation if an animal gets caught in the elevator doors. In one instance, a small dog was left hanging on its leash when the cabin started moving before the pet was fully inside. Such incidents occurred due to the automatic closing of the doors and the inattention of the owners. A sudden tug on the leash poses a choking hazard and can cause neck injuries, as well as potentially damage the elevator mechanism. Experts recommend keeping pets on a short leash and ensuring they are completely inside the cabin before it begins to move. Individual serial criminals evade detection for years thanks to carefully planned tactics. They choose victims randomly or from socially vulnerable groups, do not act too frequently, and try not to leave physical traces. Skillful concealment of evidence, movement between regions, and lack of direct connections with the victims complicate investigations. As a result, the number of victims can reach into the dozens, while the evidence base is formed very slowly. The behavior of a carbonated drink under water pressure differs from its usual reaction in air. If you shake a can of Coca-Cola and open it inside a submarine at depth, there will be no sudden eruption of foam. Under normal conditions, when opened, the pressure inside the can drops rapidly and the dissolved carbon dioxide expands quickly. However, underwater, the external pressure is significantly higher than atmospheric pressure and partially balances the internal difference. This prevents the vigorous release of gas and the formation of the characteristic fountain. The white-tailed deer undergoes a natural process of antler renewal each year, known as shedding. At the end of winter, males loosen the attachment of their old bony structures, after which they fall off, sometimes literally after a vigorous head movement. Shortly thereafter, new antlers begin to form, covered in soft velvet tissue through which nutrients flow. This species is widely distributed from Canada to South America. Observing the cycle of growth and renewal of antlers vividly demonstrates the characteristics of wild animal physiology. Leaf carving is a delicate branch of decorative art that involves working with a fragile, natural material. The artist sketches a design on the surface, most often on the reverse side of the leaf, and then carefully cuts or engraves the pattern, preserving the veins as a natural framework. The process demands utmost precision and patience, as the material is easily damaged. Among the recognized masters are Kanat Murtazan, Omid Asadi, and Lorenzo Duran, who have transformed this technique into an independent art form. In the coastal region of Afati in Madagascar, residents utilize the natural characteristics of baobabs to collect water. The dried and hollow trunks of these trees become natural reservoirs capable of holding significant amounts of rainwater. In a dry climate, this practice helps preserve supplies during periods of low precipitation. Adapting natural forms to meet economic needs demonstrates a rational approach to using local resources and reduces dependence on artificial water supply systems. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria exhibit rates of evolution that outpace the development of new medications. Under the influence of drugs, only those microorganisms that fortuitously possess mutations providing protection survive, and it is they who pass on resistance to subsequent generations. The widespread and often unwarranted use of antibiotics accelerates this process of natural selection. As a result, the effectiveness of familiar treatments diminishes, infections become more challenging to treat, and medical science is compelled to continually seek new strategies for counteraction. Severe winters of the past sometimes drastically changed the appearance of European cities, and one striking example was the frozen River Thames. In the year 1684, Due to prolonged frosts, the water surface was covered with thick ice for almost 2 months. The thickness of the ice allowed for fairs to be held and for people to walk across the river. Such events were typical of a cooling period known as the Little Ice Age, when winter temperatures in Europe often dropped significantly below modern levels. The cocktail Medusa stands out with its striking appearance, achieved through a precise layering technique. It is based on white creme de cacao, amaretto, and Irish cream liqueur, which are carefully poured in layers due to their different densities. The finishing touch is grenadine syrup. It is heavier than the other components and slowly sinks to the bottom, creating delicate flowing strands. This visual effect resembles the tentacles of a sea jellyfish. The drink is valued not only for its taste but also for its decorative presentation, which requires carefulness and an understanding of the properties of the ingredients. The accumulation of larvae in a car tire is associated with favorable conditions for insect reproduction. Inside the cavity, water and organic debris can accumulate, creating an environment suitable for the development of caterpillar-like forms. Such larvae have an elongated cylindrical body equipped with thoracic legs, and many species possess additional abdominal appendages that help them cling to surfaces. These cases demonstrate the ability of insects to quickly adapt to even artificial objects when moisture and food are present. On Mars, one can observe an eclipse, but it is not caused by a large moon, rather by a small, irregularly shaped satellite. When Phobos passes between the Sun and Mars, it casts a shadow on the planet's surface. Due to Phobos' modest size, it does not completely cover the solar disk, creating a brief partial eclipse. Its close orbit makes such events relatively frequent. In comparison, one can recall the transit of Venus across the solar disk as seen from Earth, a rare phenomenon of an entirely different scale. In the autonomous region of Inner Mongolia, a large landscape feature known as the Buddha's Hand has been created. The composition covers an area of about 40,000 square meters and is designed in the shape of a giant handprint. This is not a natural formation, but a specially crafted relief symbolizing protection and blessing in Buddhist tradition. Due to its impressive size, the design is visible from great heights and is perceived as an element of artistic spatial development. Prosopagnosia deprives a person of the ability to recognize faces while preserving vision and intelligence. This disorder can arise after a stroke, a traumatic brain injury, or a neurodegenerative disease affecting the temporal lobes of the brain. Patients see facial features but cannot associate them with a specific individual, sometimes failing to recognize even close relatives or their own reflection. To navigate their surroundings, they are forced to rely on voice, gait, or the context of the situation, which significantly complicates everyday communication. Prosthetic technology has reached a level where an artificial eye can function as a light source. After surgery, the man lost his natural eye and received a custom-made titanium prosthesis with an integrated light-emitting diode and a compact battery. The design is engineered to evenly dissipate heat and prevent overheating even during prolonged use. One charge lasts for approximately 20 hours of continuous operation. This case demonstrates how modern engineering solutions can not only compensate for the loss of an organ, but also expand a person's practical capabilities. Abnormal heat can have a more destructive impact on the population than many other natural disasters. Unlike hurricanes or floods, its effects often develop gradually and remain less noticeable. Prolonged high temperatures overload the cardiovascular system, increase dehydration, and exacerbate chronic illnesses. Elderly individuals and residents of densely populated cities are particularly vulnerable, where the heat island effect intensifies warming. It is this hidden nature and scale of impact that make extreme heat one of the most dangerous forms of natural threat. The smell of household gas can attract vultures just like the scent of decaying carcasses. The reason lies in ethyl mercaptan, a compound that is specifically added to natural gas to give it a sharp, easily recognizable odor. In nature, similar sulfur compounds are released during the decomposition of meat, and it is these that scavengers rely on. If birds begin to circle over a residential house for no apparent reason, it can sometimes indicate a possible gas leak, as the olfactory signals for them coincide with the smell of potential prey. The longest recorded drought affected the northern part of Chile and lasted 14 years, from October 1903 to January 1918. Precipitation in the region was extremely rare, leading to the depletion of water sources and serious difficulties for agriculture. The prolonged absence of rain is linked to the characteristics of air circulation over the Pacific Ocean and the influence of a cold current that suppresses cloud formation. This period serves as an example of how climatic factors can determine the fate of entire territories. A later start to school can significantly reduce the number of traffic accidents among teenagers. Studies conducted in various regions of the United States have shown that moving classes to a later morning correlates with a sharp decrease in accidents involving young drivers. In some samples, the reduction reached approximately 70%. The explanation is linked to biological rhythms. Teenagers are chronically sleep deprived, and waking up early worsens their concentration and reaction time while driving. During the Victorian era in Britain, there was a tradition of using powder made from Egyptian mummies as a supposed medicine. Although the peak of mummy medicine occurred in earlier centuries, interest in this exotic remedy persisted among some wealthy segments of society. The dried remains were ground and used for various ailments, with the belief that their ancient origin endowed the substance with healing properties. Over time, the advancement of scientific medicine and changes in ethical standards led to the abandonment of such practices. The railways of India transport millions of passengers daily, often leading to extreme overcrowding of trains. The carriages are divided into first, second, and third classes, with people in third class frequently forced to stand due to a lack of available seats. In addition to the official categories, there is a dangerous practice of traveling on the roofs of carriages, despite strict prohibitions. This occurs due to high demand and limited train capacity. Such journeys carry a serious risk of injury and highlight the scale of the transportation challenges facing the country. The plastic film trailing behind a moving car stays in place due to aerodynamic features. At high speeds, a low-pressure zone forms behind the vehicle, where the airflow creates a pulling effect. The film is not mechanically attached but finds itself in an area of reduced air pressure and seems to stick to the trunk. In motorsport, a similar principle is called slipstreaming, where a vehicle moves in the wake of another and experiences less resistance. This phenomenon helps reduce the load on the engine and increases movement efficiency. Indian artist Bhagesh employs a technique that uses sunlight instead of traditional artistic materials. With the help of a magnifying glass, he focuses the rays onto paper, carefully burning the surface to create lines, shadows, and transitions. The work demands high precision as the intensity of the heat directly affects the depth and tone of the image. This method combines the laws of optics with a creative approach, resulting in expressive caricatures with distinctive texture and a recognizable style. Among the alternative theories regarding the identity of Jack the Ripper, there was a suggestion that the criminal could have been a midwife. A woman in such a profession would have had the opportunity to interact freely with prostitutes without raising suspicion from those around her. Basic knowledge of anatomy could explain the nature of the inflicted injuries, and traces of blood on her clothing would not cause alarm due to her professional activities. Although this hypothesis did not receive compelling evidence, it reflects the diversity of theories surrounding the unsolved case. Extreme entertainment in Nepal has taken on a unique form with the high-altitude zip-line routes Kusma Skyline and Sons of Angels. These courses are set amidst mountainous landscapes and traverse deep gorges, creating a sensation of free flight. One of the highlights is the opportunity to ride on a specially secured bicycle along the cable at an altitude of approximately 300 meters. The descent lasts about 15 minutes and is accompanied by panoramic views of the Himalayan ranges. The project combines engineering precision with natural grandeur. A significant portion of water incidents is related to attempts to urinate over the side of the boat. According to safety experts, approximately 18% of accidents occur in such situations. A person can lose their balance, especially if the vessel is rocking or moving, and may fall into the water. Additional dangers include alcohol, slippery surfaces, and the absence of a life jacket. Even a brief loss of stability can lead to serious consequences. In complete darkness, The perception of one's own reflection can become distorted to the point of feeling like it has a life of its own. When staring for an extended period at barely discernible facial features, the brain begins to fill in the missing details based on expectations and past experiences. This effect is related to the adaptation of the visual system and the peculiarities of processing weak signals. As a result, the reflection may appear altered or moving independently, even though objectively no changes are occurring. The green glow in the night sky is the result of a cosmic interaction occurring right above our heads. The aurora borealis, often observed in Norway, occurs when charged particles from the solar wind collide with atoms in the upper layers of Earth's atmosphere. During these collisions, energy is released in the form of light. Different gases and altitudes create various shades, and the characteristic green color appears when interacting with oxygen atoms at an altitude of approximately 100 to 300 kilometers. This is why green waves most often dominate this impressive natural phenomenon. Mental health can deteriorate rapidly under the influence of extreme factors, even in previously healthy individuals. Research shows that prolonged isolation, sleep deprivation, chronic stress, or psychological pressure can lead to anxiety disorders, depressive episodes, and symptoms resembling psychosis. Such changes often develop in a short period when unfavorable conditions are combined. However, the reaction is individual and depends on personal characteristics, the level of support, and prior experiences. Even the most protected work of art occasionally finds itself at the center of loud protests. In the Louvre in Paris, activists threw soup at the bulletproof glass protecting Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. Similar incidents have happened before. Cakes, cups, and paint have been thrown at the painting. In 1956, a visitor damaged the canvas with a stone, and in 1911, the artwork was stolen by an Italian and returned only 2 years later. These events, despite the risk to the masterpiece, only heightened its global fame. The absolute minimum temperature on the planet was recorded deep in Antarctica and became a meteorological observation record. On the 21st of July in 1983, instruments at the Vostok station showed minus 89.2 degrees Celsius. Such extreme values are explained by a combination of high continentality of the climate, significant elevation of the glacial plateau, and clear, windless weather, during which heat is intensely radiated into space. These conditions make the interior regions of Antarctica the coldest place on Earth. A shopping cart can literally stop at the edge of the parking lot thanks to built-in electronics. Special sensors are installed in the wheels, responding to a signal or a cable laid around the perimeter of the area. As soon as the cart crosses this invisible boundary, the mechanism locks the wheels, making further movement impossible. This system reduces the risk of theft and minimizes losses for the store. The technology is simple in principle, but effective in practice, allowing for the control of inventory movement without the constant involvement of staff. The remorque has a specialized adaptation in the form of a disc-shaped sucker located on the top of its head. With this, it attaches itself to large marine animals, including sharks, turtles, and whales, using them for transportation and protection. In doing so, the remora does not harm its host and feeds on leftover food or small organisms around it. This type of interaction is called commensalism and allows the fish to benefit without causing harm to another species. Riding a horse without explicit tension on the reins demonstrates a high level of training and a subtle nonverbal connection between the person and the animal. Over time, the horse begins to respond not to physical cues, but to the slightest changes in the rider's body position, gestures, and balance. This type of interaction is developed through regular practice and trust, where the signals become almost imperceptible to an observer. Such a method emphasizes the importance of understanding and coordination when working with large animals. Landing on an icy runway can quickly turn into a challenge for the entire crew. When ice or snow remains on the surface, the grip of the wheels decreases sharply, and the aircraft risks starting to skid upon touchdown. In such situations, precise calculations of speed, stopping distance, and runway conditions are crucial. Pilots employ special braking techniques, thrust reversers, and automatic stabilization systems to maintain control. However, the combination of the aircraft's significant mass and the slippery surface demands a high level of professionalism and flawless operation of all safety systems. Thundersnow is a rare meteorological phenomenon where snowfall is accompanied by thunder and lightning. Typically, electrical activity is characteristic of warm convective clouds. However, in exceptional cases, powerful updrafts can form in winter cyclones. Under such conditions, an electrical charge separation occurs within the cloud, leading to lightning strikes even at negative temperatures. The combination of heavy snow and thunderclaps creates an unusual atmosphere, but it can also pose additional dangers due to reduced visibility and slippery roads. Nilgai is the largest antelope in Asia, combining impressive size with remarkable caution. Known also as the blue bull, nilgai inhabit the arid regions of India and Pakistan. Males are distinguished by their bluish-gray coat, short, sturdy horns, and a small mane on their neck. Despite their massive build, these animals are timid and try to avoid encounters with predators or humans. In case of danger, nilgai can reach high speeds, which helps them survive in open and dry landscapes. Surgery existed long before the advent of effective anesthesia in the 40s of the 19th century. Doctors performed amputations, removed tumors, and carried out complex procedures, relying solely on speed, physical restraint of the patient, and primitive pain relief methods such as alcohol or opium. Pain was an inevitable part of treatment, and the outcome of surgery largely depended on the endurance of the individual and the skill of the surgeon. Only the introduction of ether and later chloroform anesthesia made surgical procedures safer and more predictable. Varia di Palmi is a grand spectacle where faith literally rises to a height of 16 meters. In the Italian town of Palmi, a large-scale folk religious event takes place, centered around a massive allegorical structure resembling a tower. This intricate platform is simultaneously carried and moved by about 200 people, showcasing strength and coordination. On the upper levels, adult participants portray celestial and biblical figures, while children march in the procession below, symbolizing purity and spiritual innocence. This tradition is deeply rooted in the culture of the region and unites religion, collective responsibility, and historical memory. A ripe watermelon can burst even from light pressure due to internal physical processes. As it ripens, a large amount of juice accumulates in the flesh, and the cellular structures experience natural tension. When the strength of the rind becomes insufficient to contain the internal pressure, the slightest impact can cause a crack. This effect is particularly likely during sharp temperature fluctuations or excessive ripeness of the fruit, when the tissues lose elasticity and become more sensitive to mechanical stress. The fire smoke vortex inside a soap bubble is created through a combination of chemistry and controlled airflow. A soap solution with added glycerin is used for the strength of the shell, which increases the elasticity of the film and slows down its drying. A flammable gas is introduced inside, and an additional bubble filled with smoke is formed to make the airflow visible. When the volumes connect, a rotation is created, and a gentle touch allows the flow to be directed. As a result, a miniature vortex resembling a tornado emerges, held by a thin yet stable surface. Upward lightning is a rare type of electrical discharge associated with the complex dynamics of thunderstorm clouds. A positive charge may form at the top of the cloud, which induces a corresponding negative discharge from the surface of the Earth. When the opposing channels connect, a bright flash occurs, creating the visual effect of lightning directed upward. Such phenomena are recorded significantly less frequently than traditional downward discharges and require specific conditions for the distribution of the electric field in the atmosphere. Raindrops can reach surprisingly large sizes, comparable to that of a housefly. Such formations occur in powerful clouds when numerous small droplets merge in rising air currents. When the mass becomes too large, gravity takes over and the droplet plunges downward, reaching speeds of over 30 kilometers per hour. However, if it increases excessively, it breaks apart into smaller fragments, which is why the size of raindrops is limited by the physical properties of water and air resistance. The practice of traveling on the roofs of public transport in some regions of Congo is linked to a lack of affordable and safe transportation options. This mode of travel is cheaper and allows passengers to avoid overcrowded cabins, but it comes with serious risks. Passengers are exposed to the danger of falling, colliding with branches and low structures, as well as the effects of adverse weather conditions. The situation reflects the infrastructure problems and limited capabilities of the transportation system in certain areas of the country. According to the results of recent studies, by the year 2070, certain regions may face temperatures and humidity levels that will make it difficult for humans to spend extended periods outdoors. The combination of heat and high humidity reduces the body's ability to cool itself effectively through sweat evaporation. In conditions of sustained warming, such climate patterns may expand geographically, especially in tropical and subtropical areas, altering the usual living conditions. Hurricanes are capable of pushing massive amounts of water onto the shore, creating what is known as storm surge. Under the influence of strong winds and lowered atmospheric pressure, sea levels rise, and a wave over 6 meters high crashes onto land. This phenomenon leads to flooding of coastal areas, destruction of buildings, and damage to infrastructure. The scale of the consequences depends on the shoreline's topography, the density of development, and the strength of the cyclone, which is why storm surge is considered one of the most dangerous factors of tropical storms. The extremely high cost of real estate in Hong Kong has led to the emergence of so-called coffin homes. In the context of dense development, some residents are forced to rent microscopic spaces measuring around 1.4 square meters. In such areas, it is impossible to fully stretch out one's legs, and personal belongings are stored above the sleeping area. It is estimated that around 200,000 people live in such conditions. Rent can reach approximately $2,000 a month for a niche in an overcrowded building, while the most compact cabins cost about $300, reflecting a serious housing crisis. The symbiosis between the litter frog and the tarantula Pamphobeteus antinus is an example of mutual benefit in nature. When threatened, the frog hides under the spider's body, using its size and protective qualities as shelter. In return, it consumes insects and parasites that could harm the tarantula's eggs. This cooperation reduces risks for both species and demonstrates how different organisms can form resilient relationships in the complex ecosystem of tropical forests. Miniature sizes do not always signify leadership in the category of the smallest breeds. The poodle, despite its French origin, intelligence, and elegant appearance, falls short in compactness compared to the Chihuahua. This breed hails from Mexico and is considered the smallest in the world according to standards set by canine organizations. Chihuahuas are characterized by their expressive eyes, lively temperament, and bold behavior, which often contrasts with their modest dimensions. Their small stature does not prevent them from being energetic and confident companions. The tailor bird from Sri Lanka is known for its ability to literally stitch leaves together when building its nest. These small birds choose green leaves to provide natural camouflage among the foliage. Using spider silk or fine plant fibers, they carefully pierce the edges and connect them, forming a sturdy cup-shaped structure. Such a nest protects the eggs from predators and weather conditions. This building technique demonstrates remarkable adaptation and precision of movements in the avian world. In 1934, the serial killer Albert Fish sent a letter to the mother of his victim, Grace Budd, detailing his crime. In it, he candidly described the murder of the girl, the dismemberment of her body, and cannibalism. The message became crucial evidence in the case and showcased the extreme brutality of the perpetrator. This document was later referenced multiple times in court materials and studies in criminal psychology. A number of serial killers have been found to have serious head injuries in their biographies. Researchers point to a possible connection between damage to the frontal lobes of the brain and impairments in impulse control, empathy, and the assessment of the consequences of actions. However, the presence of injury is not a direct cause of criminal behavior and is found in many individuals without criminal tendencies. This factor is considered one of the potential elements in a complex interplay of biological and social influences. A passenger train in Sofia was found to be covered in ice from the inside during a sudden cold snap. With temperatures around -15 degrees and insufficient heating in the carriages, moisture began to condense on the cold surfaces and quickly freeze. As a result, The windows, walls, and interior elements were coated with a layer of frost, creating the sensation of a freezer. Such a situation arises when low temperatures are combined with poor insulation. The incident highlighted how much the railway infrastructure relies on a functioning heating system in harsh winter conditions. The behavior of turtles sometimes manifests in unexpected reactions to dark-colored objects, including black shoes. There have been instances where these animals displayed aggression toward such items, likely perceiving them as rivals or threats. Although turtles have limited vision and their color differentiation is poorly developed, the contrast of shape and silhouette can trigger territorial instincts. Additionally, past negative experiences may reinforce a specific association with the appearance of the object. Modern technologies are increasingly changing the ways of protecting agriculture. In the Chinese city of Jinzhou, a demonstration was held showcasing the use of drones for removing insects from plantations. The drones are capable of precisely spraying organic solutions or applying physical control methods, reducing the need for traditional pesticides. This makes the process more environmentally friendly and controlled. In Australia, a different approach has been demonstrated. A drone equipped with two synchronized nets mechanically captures pests. Both examples illustrate different strategies aimed at preserving crops using high-precision technologies. Thunderstorm activity on the planet is continuous and at any moment encompasses thousands of points on the Earth's surface. According to meteorologists, approximately 2,000 thunderstorm cells form in the atmosphere every minute, accompanied by lightning, heavy rain, and gusty winds. Their distribution depends on temperature, humidity, and air mass circulation. The most intense processes occur in tropical latitudes, where warm, moist air rises particularly actively, creating conditions for frequent electrical discharges and heavy precipitation. Until the 80s of the 20th century, there was a misconception in medical practice that newborns do not fully experience pain. For this reason, some surgical interventions in infants were performed without adequate anesthesia, relying only on muscle relaxants to prevent movement. Later studies showed that the nervous system of children is capable of perceiving pain stimuli, and the stress from surgery can have long-term consequences. A reevaluation of these beliefs led to the mandatory use of pain relief in neonatal surgery. Drip irrigation based on cotton rope demonstrates a simple principle of capillary action. One end of the rope is placed in a container of water, while the other end is positioned in the soil near the plant's roots. The porous fibers of cotton gradually absorb moisture and slowly transfer it to the ground, providing consistent and measured hydration. This method helps conserve water, maintains a steady level of humidity, and reduces the risk of drying out. It is particularly convenient for indoor plants and small urban gardens. Lampropeltis triangulum, known as the false coral snake, is a non-venomous species that resembles the dangerous coral snakes. Its protective coloration is based on the similarity of colored rings, although their sequence differs. In the false species, red bands are adjacent to black, while in venomous coral snakes, red is bordered by yellow. In areas where both species coexist, understanding this distinction helps reduce the risk of misjudging danger and plays an important role in human safety. Bike Shed Motorcycle Club in London showcases how an industrial space can be transformed into a multifunctional urban venue. The owners preserved the distinctive architectural elements of the building and seamlessly integrated them into a modern interior. Inside, a motorcycle club, restaurant, barber shop, and gear shop come together to create a cohesive concept for motorcycle culture enthusiasts. The space attracts not only bikers, but also visitors who appreciate the atmosphere of industrial design and the thoughtful blend of leisure and gastronomy. A motorcycle can move for a while without a rider due to the laws of physics and its own design. In one instance on a highway in Paris, the vehicle continued to travel after the biker fell, as the throttle was stuck in the open position and the handlebars remained straight. At sufficient speed, the rotating wheels create a gyroscopic effect that provides stability. Inertia keeps the motion going until an obstacle arises or the direction changes. Such situations are rare, but demonstrate the unique balance of two-wheeled vehicles. The Fujian District Library in China has become a symbol of modern architecture and cultural development. Located opposite Lianhua Hill, It combines extensive book collections with cutting-edge digital technologies. The space is designed to stimulate reading, research activities, and community gatherings. The building features a futuristic appearance and a thoughtful organization of halls where traditional shelves and multimedia zones coexist. Such a center serves not only an educational purpose, but also a social function. The average surface temperature of the Earth has increased by approximately 2 degrees Celsius since the end of the 19th century. This figure is based on the analysis of long-term meteorological observations and ocean condition data. The rise is primarily linked to the increase in greenhouse gas concentrations, which enhance heat retention in the atmosphere. Even a relatively small change in the global average value affects the frequency of extreme events, the distribution of precipitation, in the state of glaciers, shaping long-term changes in the planet's climate system. In the past, dental needles were often reused and sharpened manually. Before the widespread adoption of disposable instruments, doctors would grind the tips of the needles with special stones or abrasives to restore their sharpness after sterilization. This practice was explained by limited resources and the high cost of medical devices. It was only with the development of infection control standards and mass production of disposable supplies that the reuse of needles was deemed unsafe and gradually discontinued. The ice carousel on a Finnish lake in the Uusimaa region is the result of precise calculations and careful work. A man carved a perfectly round circle in the ice around his summer cabin, using a GPS device as a guide, much like a giant compass. The outline was cut with an electric saw, allowing the detached platform to slowly rotate on the water. The structure remains stable due to the thickness of the ice and only persists during sustained frosts. As warmth arrives, it naturally disappears, highlighting the temporary nature of this winter experiment. The sculpture made from 100,000 coins stands as an example of years of artistic labor and engineering precision. American artist Robert Wexler created the composition over 7 years, using ordinary 1-cent coins from the United States. Each coin was cut and integrated into a complex lattice structure, forming geometric patterns and three-dimensional shapes. The total weight of the construction exceeded 200 kilograms. The project received recognition for its combination of mathematical accuracy and an original approach to a familiar material. The nature of murders often varies depending on the gender of the victim. Statistical data shows that in cases involving the deaths of women, the perpetrator is most often a spouse, partner, or former partner, and the crime typically occurs in a domestic setting. When the victim is a man, there is a higher likelihood that the murder is committed by an acquaintance or a stranger outside the home, often in a public space. These differences reflect the characteristics of interpersonal conflicts and social patterns of violence. Over the past 30 years, the frequency of the most powerful hurricanes of the 4th and 5th categories has increased. These storms are characterized by extreme wind speeds and high destructive power. Scientists link the rise in their intensity to the increase in ocean surface temperatures, which serve as an energy source for tropical cyclones. Warmer water enhances convection and maintains a storm structure, increasing the likelihood of forming systems with maximum strength ratings. A lightweight object that falls from the bed of a truck can unexpectedly return due to the characteristics of air currents. As the vehicle moves, a zone of low pressure forms behind it, an aerodynamic wake, where the air swirls and creates a turbulent vortex. If the box has a low mass and high drag, the airflow can lift it and pull it back into the created pocket. This behavior is explained by the laws of dynamics and the distribution of pressure around a moving body, rather than a violation of logic or physical principles. Most tsunamis are formed as a result of underwater earthquakes occurring in tectonic fault zones. When the ocean floor suddenly shifts upward or downward, enormous masses of water are set in motion and spread across the ocean in the form of long waves. In open water, they can be nearly imperceptible. However, as they approach the shore, their height increases dramatically due to the decreasing depth. It is this effect that makes tsunamis devastating for coastal areas, especially if the warning comes too late. Snow does not possess its own white color, despite common perception. The ice crystals that make up snowflakes are translucent, and allow light to pass through. The whiteness arises from the multiple reflections and scattering of light rays within the complex structure of the snow cover. When light passes through the numerous facets and air gaps between the crystals, it reflects in various directions, and the human eye perceives this cumulative effect as white. It is the physical properties of light rather than pigmentation that create the familiar hue of the winter landscape. During a rapid shift of gaze, the brain momentarily dampens visual perception. This process is called saccadic masking and accompanies every quick eye movement, saccade. If the image were not suppressed, a person would see blurred shifts and experience sensory overload. This brief disconnection helps maintain the stability of the worldview and reduces the risk of disorientation or motion sickness. Thanks to this mechanism, the environment is perceived as continuous and whole. Acute compartment syndrome can develop even after a relatively mild limb injury. Swelling of the tissues within a confined muscle compartment leads to increased interstitial pressure, which disrupts blood flow and oxygen supply. If the compression persists, nerve and muscle damage begins, and necrosis can occur within a few hours. Without urgent surgical intervention, the consequences may include loss of limb function or the need for amputation. Functional magnetic resonance imaging allows for the analysis of brain activity and partially reconstructs perceived images. The method is based on recording changes in blood flow that accompany the activity of neurons in various areas of the cortex. Computer algorithms match the obtained patterns with an extensive database of visual data and create an approximate image of what a person sees. Although the technology does not read thoughts directly, it helps to gain a deeper understanding of the mechanisms of information processing and the workings of consciousness. Waterspouts are rotating columns of air that form over the surface of water during unstable weather. They occur when warm, moist air rises and begins to spiral, creating a funnel that connects a cloud to the water's surface. Strong currents can capture spray, seaweed, and even small marine creatures, lifting them to a considerable height. Although most of these phenomena are less destructive than land tornadoes, they remain potentially hazardous to vessels and coastal infrastructure. In some schools in the United States, open layouts of corridors and learning spaces are used, without traditional doors and with an incomplete number of walls. This format enhances visibility and reduces the number of enclosed areas, making it easier for staff to monitor. Improved visibility simplifies evacuation in emergency situations and decreases the likelihood of hidden conflicts. Architectural solutions of this type reflect a desire to combine functionality, safety, and the creation of a more transparent educational environment. The highest meteorological station is located on the slopes of Everest and serves as a source of unique climate data. The equipment is installed at an extreme altitude where conditions are characterized by thin air, low temperatures, and strong winds. Collecting information on temperature, wind speed, and atmospheric composition helps scientists better understand processes in the upper layers of the troposphere. These observations are particularly important for studying climate change and glacier dynamics in high-altitude regions. Anthony Loffredo, better known as the Black Alien, has transformed his own body into a radical artistic manifesto. The Frenchman gained fame for his large-scale and unusual modifications, which became part of his Black Alien project. It all began at the age of 26 as an attempt at deep aesthetic and personal transformation. Loffredo explained that he felt as if he were in a foreign shell and sought to change it so that it reflected his inner sense of self. Through surgeries, implants, tattoos, and even amputations, he creates an image that challenges conventional notions of appearance and the boundaries of art. An intense jet of water at a car wash can unexpectedly penetrate the interior of a vehicle. Although such facilities are designed for gentle cleaning of the body, high water pressure reveals even the slightest defects. Worn rubber seals, loosely closed windows, or micro cracks in the body. As a result, a significant amount of moisture can enter through the gaps, creating the effect of a sudden waterfall over the seats and dashboard. Such cases highlight the importance of regular checks on the sealing and technical condition of the vehicle. Tornadoes are among the most powerful atmospheric vortices and can develop wind speeds exceeding 300 miles per hour. Inside the rotating funnel, air moves in a spiral with colossal energy, destroying buildings, overturning cars, and uprooting trees. Such extreme measurements are recorded in the most intense tornadoes of the highest category. Their formation is associated with a sharp contrast in temperatures and strong atmospheric instability when warm and cold air masses collide, creating conditions for the rapid twisting of currents. Daily temperature fluctuations in the Sahara Desert can be truly contrasting, reaching 38 degrees Celsius. During the day, the sandy surface quickly heats up under direct sunlight due to the lack of clouds and moisture capable of retaining heat. At night, however, the accumulated energy is lost just as rapidly as dry air and clear skies promote intense cooling. Such a sharp difference creates a significant strain on living organisms and determines the adaptations of plants and animals to the extreme conditions of the desert. The self-balancing bicycle, Xuan, has become a notable development in the field of autonomous transportation. The project was created by Chinese engineer Jihui Jun and is distinguished by its ability to maintain balance and move without human intervention. Stability is ensured by a high-precision gyroscope that instantly corrects the position of the frame, while the electric drive is responsible for smooth movement. The sensor system analyzes the surrounding environment and helps navigate obstacles. This technology showcases the potential of intelligent control systems in next-generation personal transportation. A square can roll on a surface due to the peculiarities of its shape and dynamics of movement. In some models, the sides have a slightly convex, nearly elliptical geometry, which allows the point of support to transition smoothly from one corner to another. With sufficient speed and a high coefficient of friction, the center of gravity remains relatively stable, reducing sharp oscillations. As a result, a sensation of uniform rolling is created, despite the seemingly inappropriate shape. This effect illustrates how minor changes in geometry influence the nature of a body's movement. Awareness during general anesthesia is a confirmed, though rare, medical phenomenon. In some cases, a patient may partially perceive sounds or pressure during surgery while remaining completely immobilized due to the effects of muscle relaxants. This can be accompanied by pain sensations and subsequent psychological stress. Modern protocols for monitoring the depth of anesthesia and precise dosage calculations have significantly reduced the risk of such episodes, but it is still not possible to completely eliminate them. The idea of a perpetual motion machine is based on the assumption of the possibility of infinite operation of a mechanism without an external energy source. However, such devices contradict fundamental laws of physics, primarily the second law of thermodynamics, which states that energy inevitably dissipates and cannot spontaneously arise. Any design that creates the illusion of continuous motion upon detailed analysis reveals hidden sources of energy or external influences. The scientific community views such projects as a misconception, as they violate established principles of energy conservation. Hail of unusually large sizes is periodically recorded in various regions of China and generates significant public interest. Several reports mentioned ice formations, comparable in size to chicken eggs, indicating powerful updrafts in thunderstorm clouds. The formation of such hailstones is associated with multiple ascents of water droplets to great heights, where they accumulate layers of ice. After the storm, farmers sometimes collect the fallen ice and use it for gradually moistening the soil, as its melting provides a slow supply of moisture to the plants. The emergency stop of the escalator occurs thanks to the built-in automatic protection system. In the event of an emergency situation, the mechanism instantly halts movement, preventing damage to the structure and injuries to passengers. The cause may be excessive pressure on the handrails if the device is equipped with the appropriate sensors, or a disruption in the proper engagement of the steps at the lower or upper part of the belt. Control elements detect deviations and send a signal to the control unit. Such systems are mandatory according to safety standards and are designed for rapid response without operator involvement.